Yo, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to the podcast. I'm Renato Ruiz.
I'm George Morales.
I'm Carlos Rodriguez.
I'm Juan Carlos Cantú.
I'm Gadir Jimenez.
Yo, so today we're going to talk about this question. So the question for today is, does the high vocabulary extend one's way of thinking? Any thoughts?
Yeah, I think it does because I mean, if the more words you can like pronounce, the more people you can talk to. Like, and obviously, like a CEO of a company is gonna have a higher vocabulary than like a homeless guy, and you're gonna want to talk to the CEO of a company rather than a homeless guy. No offense.
Okay,
to
I get you.
homeless.
I don't know. I think we don't actually think about words when we're doing something. We just think about actions. Like if I'm gonna reach for this soda, I don't think, oh, I'm gonna reach for the soda. I just think about doing it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So I actually have two articles that contradict themselves. First is We Think in Words, Therefore Teach Vocabulary by Jay Draper and H. Moeller. And that article talks about the way we think, and they believe that we think in words. But my other source says that it's freedom in thought. It's a YouTube channel which is educational. They actually explain that we don't think in words and that we actually kind of like think our thoughts, but then we make them into words.
Oh, so basically that's like the second article is what I said. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, kind of.
Oh, okay.
Going back to what I said, I feel like the fact that it doesn't matter how high of a vocabulary you have, like for a job or like in the job or like like in real life, that's like that's good for like athletes and stuff because like they make money off the way they perform, not off like how much they like know.
Okay.
So like I feel like a doctor, of course, a doctor needs to have super high vocabulary to understand
And explain.
It's terminology.
terminology.
Right.
So I guess, like that's my point. I think a doctor should know.
Like it depends on what you're
Yeah, like that one interview of the one that Andres used to always mimic.
Oh yeah.
Okay. I want to move on to Gadel. What do you think is the impact of vocabulary on your audience?
What would your audience be? And
Yeah, it depends on your.
You think it depends? Well, my third source, which is by Lee Sieg Mill and Colin McKenzie, talked about common sense. Do you guys know what common sense is?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean.
The guy Thomas Paine.
Oh yeah. What was that for again?
He wrote this pamphlet, which kind of like encouraged people to revolt against the British monarchy.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Like propaganda.
Yeah. So what they talk about is that Thomas Paine actually used really simple vocabulary, because back then, the educated were the elite, which were like the 1%. So he kind of like just nerded everything down and dumped it down so that
reach a
people
wider
could
audience?
understand it. Yeah.
Damn, that's badass. That's woke.
That's
So what do you think about that?
Well, yeah. That's ironic. It is using common sense to reach a.
I mean, yeah, because people that don't have that higher vocabulary won't understand what he's saying. So he has to narrow it down to a simple version.
Yeah,
of
I
it.
guess the high vocabulary is good until like to a certain point where someone might not understand the actual words that you're using. You know what I mean? Like, what if I start talking like with all like smart words and shit, but someone doesn't understand what I'm trying to say. So I have to like go.
Yeah.
to a
So
lower type of
going back to what I going back to what I was saying. Nah, fuck it. Okay, go.
okay, so basically, I still believe that even then, high vocabulary still depends on your audience. It's not as you said to a certain point. I think that's
Yeah, I mean because it depends on the.
No, it is. So
Someone
like,
might not understand.
okay,
it.
so
Yeah,
like,
so for
wait,
example-
So like a doctor, of course, they need to know like high vocabulary, but when they're explaining it to the patient, they tell us, like they tell us, but like they tell people who are like in the medical field.
Yeah, they gotta put it in a way that we don't
Yeah,
understand.
like you need to
Yeah.
teach your patient, like, and they obviously don't know what the heck, because if they did, they wouldn't be with you. So.
Right. I want to move on because Juanca is actually one of my sources. I did a personal interview. Can you give us a little bit about what happened in there?
Well,
And your experience as a bilingual?
yeah, my experience as a bilingual. Well, I grew up in Mexico and moved to to Mission, Texas, where I started studying, and I went to a English school. I mean, and I just basically started learning a new language, and
loud.
higher like in that class they kept on like teaching us new words, and I think that really helped me throughout my like educational career in order like to understand better like how to meet new people, and like
Yeah, you see what I mean? So you feel like you're gonna get further in life because you know more.
I feel like from that example, it's very different from high diction. I feel like that's different from high diction because being bilingual does not mean that you have high diction. So
yeah,
you
it
can
depends on the words, right?
you can be bilingual and have very low level of diction on both languages.
Okay, yeah.
So going back to the original topic, which was a high diction, I think it just depends on like the scenario, I guess, if that makes sense.
Okay. Um, so after reading all my sources and doing my own due diligence, I kind of came up with my own conclusion, which is that vocabulary does help, but it doesn't necessarily makes you, or like it impacts your creativity, which is what I think is most important. What do you guys think about that?
Yeah, so like an engineer, like you can, I mean, like you can read all the books and know all the terminology, but for someone who like they taught it to, and like has been like working on like machinery, like they're gonna know more than someone who only knows the words. Like you have to.
Yeah, I
Like,
think a good example of that
practice.
would be like my dad. He didn't study. He actually didn't even finish high school, and yet right now he's an engineer. And I'm not saying he's like super successful for an engineer, but his like average income would be around average of a regular engineer that like graduated from college. So his terminology in engineer wasn't what allowed him to get there. It was just like his experience.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, like
Like actually
creativity.
knowing how to do
Yeah.
the work and stuff.
Yeah, back me up. Thanks for that, homie.
Any
Like
thoughts,
you said.
Roto?
I mean, yeah, I guess that's kind of my whole point too. It all depends on your actual thoughts, not the actual words of your thoughts. Like for example, the terminology in engineering, since we're using that example, I don't think we like for example, his dad is not actually using that terminology of engineering. He's using more of the thoughts, like
The creativity
actual, yeah,
itself.
the creativity part of it.
Yeah, okay.
So yeah.
Well, thank you guys for coming into the podcast.
welcome.
Hope you guys tune in. See you guys next week. Bye bye.